Hey guys, good afternoon. It's time for Truth Talks. A little early today. I have a busy day ahead of me, and I did not want this to get away from me. I didn't want this opportunity to escape me, so have stolen a few minutes to come on and share this message with you. I feel like there's somebody who really needs to receive this, somebody who really needs to hear this message. So, as I see some of you guys coming in, hey Kennard, hey Rashawn, as I see some of you guys start to come in, feel free to share this out. What's going on, Latrice? Share the video out. If you're catching it on the replay on Facebook or LinkedIn or on my YouTube channel, thank you guys all for making the investment, whether it's live or on the replay. And for those of you who are sharing, thank you so much. I appreciate that as well. My name is Marcy Batiste. I'm the Ultimate Power Coach, America's #1 reality-based success and recovery trainer. And Truth Talks is all about real conversations for real people dealing with real life stuff. And one of the things that particularly individuals who are involved in personal development experience is change and growth. And part of personal development is to guide you down the path of change and growth. But one thing that I've realized in that process is that when you change, everybody around you doesn't change. And we have to be very aware of that. So it can cause some discomfort. It can cause some awkwardness in long-term relationships. And I titled this video, People Want to Know You Where They Met You. And that is not my saying. It is actually one that I got from a mentor of mine. And when he first said it, it was so powerful to me because we were talking about how change creates separation sometimes, and it creates some uncomfortability with people that you may have always been comfortable with. And it was such a powerful phrase and such a powerful way of putting the sentiment that I decided I was going to keep it because I absolutely love that sentiment. And so people want to know you where they met you. What does that mean? It simply means that wherever they met you, at whatever phase in your life, at whatever stage in your life, that you two became enmeshed and you formed some sort of a relationship, whether it's a friendship or a working relationship or a physical relationship or an intimate relationship or whatever that connection between you individuals is, that's where they're always going to revert back to. They want to know you in that place because that's your point of contact, that's your place of familiarity, that's that place where that's where we have something in common. And so it's very common for people to always want to go back there. So think about friends that you may have had in high school or college, right? And so you guys reconnect for the reunion. What's the first thing you do? You talk about back then. You talk about back when, right? And you go back and you rehash all these old memories. Your college days, you get together with your college girlfriends, your college homies, and you're suddenly taken back to being 19 again, and they're oftentimes thinking that you should behave a certain way because that's how you behaved in that time and in that space of your life when they first met you. That's where they knew you. That's where you had built a bond. That's where you had begun to build a foundation. And so they're always going to want to return to what I call home base. They're always going to want to go back there. So when you have gone on a personal development journey, oftentimes back there is not really where you want to go. Like, that's not where you want to make your investment of time moving forward, is rehashing the past. It's one thing, to laugh over a couple memories, to chuckle about some circumstances that may have happened, But to really linger in that headspace, in that emotional space, most of us, once we've grown beyond it, don't want to spend a whole lot of time or waste a whole lot of time in that same mindset. But oftentimes what happens is individuals that we're reconnecting with are still back there. So they haven't gone on the journey. They haven't grown. They haven't progressed. Uh, Obviously, elementary school, junior high, even high school, some college, typically there's a natural progression of growth. There's a natural progression of change, simply for the fact that you age out of being a freaking irresponsible teenager, and so some changes have to take place. However, when you meet people later in life and they're already established, they're already set, they're already settled, and let's say you meet them in some sort of a social environment, and that's your first connection, or you meet them in a bar and that's your first connection, or you meet them playing sports, that's your first connection. Everything else after that, whenever you reconnect, is going to have a tendency to go back to those places. And so whatever things that you built, whatever kind of relationship that you built with these individuals in that time, in that space, in that mental headspace, that's where they're going to want to go back to whenever you reconnect. And so what happens is that point of reference is, it becomes uncomfortable for you because you're like, I'm not that person anymore. Let's say you were the star athlete, and now you're 45, 48 years old with a little bit of pot belly going on, a little bit of chub rub here and there, and they're still taking you and wanting you to be and have the same conversations that you had as a star athlete, and you're like, no, I'm like a business person now, I'm an entrepreneur now, I own a company now, I have a family now. And so those are the things that are important to you now that you want to have the conversation about. But the person that you're reconnecting with, or the person that you haven't seen in a while, they want to take you back to that old place, and you're like, that's no longer my comfort zone. That's no longer where I want to invest my time and invest my energy. I want to invest my time and my energy talking about things that are important to me now. I want to talk about where I'm at now. I want to talk about where I'm going. But what happens oftentimes is those people from our past, they don't know who you are now. They don't know where you're going. That's not their frame of reference. That's not their point of contact. And so it can make some awkwardness. And I've heard people say in the past, like, oh, I don't even know who she is anymore. She thinks she all that since she did X, Y, or Z. Or he's not the same as he used to be. I don't even know this individual anymore. And this is what I'll say to those people who think that way. What's up, T? Um, you shouldn't want people to be the same as they were before. You should celebrate growth. If you truly care about someone, you should celebrate their maturity. You should celebrate change and development and progression versus being disgruntled because they're not the way they used to be. I was talking to a friend of mine one time about relationships and how oftentimes people will say, I know women say this a lot, oh, he just doesn't love me like he used to. You shouldn't. You shouldn't want that. You should want there to be growth. You should want there to be development. You should want the relationship to mature and to change and to develop into something far greater than it ever once was. And so if your expectation is that someone will love you like they used to, I question, have you grown? I question, where is your sense of development? I would hope that if I'm in a long-term relationship with someone, that they not love me like they used to, but they love me maybe more deeply, that they love me more intimately, that they love me in ways that I couldn't even have comprehended in the beginning. And so understanding and wrapping your mind around how you think about growth and how you think about change for yourself and for the people around you. I was talking to a friend of mine from um, from elementary school. So I have a couple of really good girlfriends we've been friends since we were in elementary school. And so obviously there's going to be change. You know, we're like late 40s now, heading on into the big 50s. And yeah, we're not the same as we were when we were 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 12. We're totally different. We're completely different women. So this is my challenge to you guys, is to find out, not necessarily is that person who they used to be, but find out, do they vibe with who you are now? Do they vibe with where you're going and who you're becoming? Ask yourself with other individuals, instead of trying to know them where you met them, learn where they are now. Meet that person all over again. And then ask yourself, does this vibe with who I am? Does this vibe with where I'm going? And they should be asking themselves too, based on who Marcy is now, do I still vibe with her? Do I still vibe with her message? Do I still vibe with her character? Do I still vibe with how she conducts herself? Do I still vibe with, how that fits with who I am now? Because sometimes they will and sometimes they won't. And I'll give you an example. Again, I said I have a couple of really good friends who we've been friends since we were little kids. One of them I've been in constant contact with for over 40 years. We are best friends. We're basically like sisters. And, we grow and develop at different paces and different stages. But we're always 100% invested in who we are at the moment. So I always love her in the space she's in. She always loves me in the space I'm in. We support each other when we're going through things. We've supported each other through marriages. We've supported each other through divorces, having babies, all kinds of stuff. But there was never an expectation that either one of us stopped growing or that we stopped developing. We've just maintained an interest in who we are in the moment. And then I have another friend who I've known basically almost as long, not quite as long, maybe since maybe first or second grade instead of like kindergarten. But we lost contact for many, many, many years. Lost contact. After high school, everybody kind of went their separate ways. She went into the military. I went on to my life. She went on to her life. We live our lives. And then social media, Facebook brings us back together. We're able to reconnect. Now, yeah, when we get on the phone, do we still talk about some of the old stuff? Do I still harass her for wanting to beat me up in the 5th grade? And then we finally find out the other day that it was over a spelling bee because I got a word right and she got out. And, it was crazy, funny stuff. But the coolest thing is that even though we still share those memories of where we met and how we used to be, we're both completely interested in who we are now. Who I am as a woman now, she's interested in that person. Who she is as a woman now, I'm interested in that person. And so I still vibe with her, not because of where we come from, but because I vibe with the person that she is now. And that's what we have to remember when we're dealing with change and we're dealing with growth. And social media brings us back into contact, like with people that we may not have seen for years and years and years, and we have a certain opinion of them, and they may have done some things to either reinforce that opinion or maybe to change it, hopefully to change it if it's a negative opinion. But don't be stuck on where they used to be. Don't be stuck on where you met them. Figure out, where are they now? And ask yourself, do I still vibe with that person? Because what I know to be true is my girls, we've, like I said, known each other 40 years, and I still vibe with them. I still love their hearts. I still love their spirits. I still love their energy. They both have hearts of gold. And to me, it's those kinds of things that it's the loyalty factor. It's the they've grown factor. It's the we've grown through things factor, but we always reconnect at where we are. Yes, we have this magnificent history. Yes, we have these memories. Yes, we have these past experiences, but I love them as they are now, and vice versa. And that's why the relationship works. I don't expect them to like me or love me like I was when I was 12 or 17 or 25 or 30. I need to know, do you love me in the space I'm in now? Can you meet me where I'm at now, and do we still vibe? That's what I want to know. I don't need to meet you where I met you. But too many times people get disappointed because when they reconnect, they're not the same person. And I just want people to take a fresh look at those connections and take a fresh look at our expectations, and particularly for like long-term relationships, take a look at where each of you have grown. Take a look at what has developed. Who are you now? Who are you becoming? Do you still vibe? Can you get on this? Can you get on the same page now? It doesn't matter if you love me like you used to. Do you love me the way I need you to love me now? Who I am, the space I'm in, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, is that vibing with you? And vice versa, where you are, am I vibing with that? Can I love you in the space that you're in? Can I love you with all of your character flaws as is? Can you love me with all my character flaws as is? To me, that's a bigger indication of the depth of love than any connection, no matter how thick it used to be, is where are we now? Meet me where I'm at now. Let's talk. Let's find out, where do we vibe at? Where are we just a little bit off at? Where can you help me grow? Where can I help you grow? How can I support you? How can you support me? That's really what it's all about. Don't expect somebody to love you like they used to. Expect them to love you as you are, in a space that you're in, and for the person who you are in this moment, and the person that you are desiring to become. Can they get on board with that? Can they ride with that? Can they rock with that? Can they be loyal to that? That's really what's important. That's what takes relationships, friendships, business relationships, all to the next level. Is not what you had in common, but what you build on for commonalities going forward. And there'll be some things that some of your best friends are going to be direct opposites of you. They're going to be so direct opposite. But guess what? That's what helps balance you out. That's what helps balance you out. I have some friends that are super sensitive and super emotional, and they say, oh my gosh, like, Marcy, you're so detached sometimes. But when they're overly emotional, I can bring them back into level. When I'm being too detached and not emotional enough, they're like, you know what? Think about it this way. And so we balance each other out. So it's not about how same we are. It's about, can we be supportive and love one another in the space we're in, as we are and as we become. So that's my message for today for Truth Talks. I challenge you to put your relationships, put your friendships up to the measuring stick and say, do I still vibe with you? Where are you now? Have you asked the question? Do you know who that person is? Or are you still making assumptions that they're still who they used to be? Are you still hanging out where you met them versus hanging out with where they're at now and who they are now? You know, times and conversations and all that stuff has to change. The relationship dynamic has to change. It should change. So for you to want to only know them where you met them is unrealistic, and it's a setup for disappointment and defeat. But being willing to meet them in the space they're in, love them in the space they're in, love them and support them to become who they desire to become, as long as it still vibes with you and it doesn't compromise your beliefs, that's what's going to take it to the next level. So think about that, and I'll talk to you guys later tomorrow for another Truth Talks. Have a good one. Thanks for living life on Mars with me, you guys, and thanks for being part of the Ultimate Power team. I'll catch y'all later.